Hi, Julie.
Hiya, Joel. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Thank you for coming on the Hillary Investments show today.
You're most welcome.
So, what we're going to do is, I just thought I'd get somebody who's done the property journey before, somebody that's done the test of time. They're not new like myself. I'm relatively new in the property journey. It'd be cool to get a veteran when it comes to
A veteran. He's calling me a veteran. I'm a young veteran.
one who's got your medals and your badges.
Yeah.
Gone through the war.
Yeah, badges of experience. What not to do.
So why don't you just tell us who you are, where you're from, and you'll kick it off from there.
So I'm Julie Carlo Hillary from Queenstown, and we've been dabbling in property. We're not experts by any means, but we've been dabbling in property for
very modest,
probably since we got married, really. So for 35 years. So we've done a couple of things right and a lot of things wrong. So it'd be good to make sure you guys don't fall into the pitfalls that we fell into.
Oh, okay. So you've been doing investing for about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And why did you and Mark become an investor in the first place?
So we started dabbling in it. Like when you first got married, your goal was to own your own house. But then probably 15 years ago, Mark had a massive car accident, which put him out of work basically for at least a year and a half. And I was primary school teaching, but we actually I actually also ended up stopping work because I had to look after Mark and take him to his specialist appointments, and then he had to relearn his field. So it actually took two of us out of our normal jobs, and we thought this working dollars for hours is not going to work if you actually can't work dollars for hours. So if something happens to one of you, you assume the other one can still carry on working and bring a wage in, but sometimes that doesn't happen. And we weren't didn't have the foresight to have life insurance, or health insurance. So I would advise you to have some kind of life insurance, especially when you're younger.
So let me get this right. You and Mark. So Mark had a car accident, and he wasn't able to work. And did you stop working to look after him?
Yeah.
So you went from two incomes to no incomes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that would have been rough.
It was pretty rough. It was very rough.
Yeah.
We were lucky we had a good personal relationship with our bank manager at the time, which we had a house mortgage, or actually we had land mortgage, and we actually had a line of credit set in place to begin to build a house. And that was the stage we were when Mark had his accident.
Oh, wow. So you started getting into property investing because you couldn't work, and both of you guys couldn't work. And what was it about property investing? Was it the fact that it became passive income, that you worked once and you got paid every week?
Yeah. We decided that, I was a school teacher, so I was on reasonable money.
Yep.
But we quickly realised that if something stops us from working, you need the passive. And even if Mark's theory has always been, even if it's only an extra $100 a week, and then the next year you do something else and it's another $100 a week, until you have your goal. And really, you don't need a lot of money to be able to live passively. So in our day, it was like probably $1,000 a week, but nowadays it's probably maybe, if you had,
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. It depends on the person, and depends where you live. But so say it's $1,000 a week, and every passive property you can get $100 to $150 passive, some more, some less, then in 10 properties you would be able to stop your
You can
income,
start working. Yeah.
and that's quite achievable.
Would you say property investing is more or less 100% passive, or it's like 90% passive? Like there's still 10% of work that has to go on to like making sure that everything runs okay, and it's because it's more or less a business, isn't it? You're creating a business, and you gotta just keep on top to make sure the business works.
Yeah, it's like everything. You'll never be totally hands-free. And if you are hands-free, I wouldn't advise it, because that's when you haven't maybe got your finger on the pulse. So you do need to, like even now, 15 years later, we've got a property manager, which happens to be Joel, that goes and does all the inspections and meets with the tenants and maintenance and works out what's happening. But I still check that the rents go in, double check with the property manager what maintenance we need to do, look for things in advance that we could maybe avoid anything that could go wrong. So nothing's ever 100% hands-free. There's always a little bit of work.
I definitely agree with that. Would you consider to encourage other people to be property investors, or do you think it's more of a niche, like a type of person? It's kind of like certain people should be business owners and certain people just aren't wired that way. But yeah, what are your thoughts on, should everybody be a property investor?
Well, obviously, some people it's not their thing, and that's fine. But I would encourage, especially in New Zealand, we're all going to get older like I am, and then I'm going to get older again, obviously, and you need something coming in rather than the GRI. In the future, the GRI may not even exist. So once our wages stop, how do we live? And we can do what a lot of people do, is that they sell their house and get a cheaper one and have another couple of $100,000 for the next few years, then sell that house and keep going smaller and smaller. But at some stage,
there's a lot of talk on the pension not being there when we retire as well. So it might be there for most of the baby boomers, but I think we're living longer today than it has been expected, and there's more people on the planet that are needing this retirement pension, and there's actually just not enough money, is what I've been hearing and reading. So
there's just, you can't rely on the pension to be able to pay your bills. The average, if you were born today, I think you're going to live till you're 90. Average, if you keep healthy,
with medical care.
So we get our hips redone and our hearts redone and our knees redone, so we're living longer, but we can stop work sometimes at 60, 65. So how do you continue getting that magic number in every week? So it's, and I think most people can do property. It's scary. Your biggest hurdle is often fear.
What is the fear? I've got a note just on the computer here, the fear of debt. Is that a big fear?
For some people, they hate the debt, but if it's good debt and you look at it logically, and it's the bank's debt and your tenants are paying your
could you
mortgage.
Just expand on what good debt is?
So there's good debt and bad debt. Obviously, bad debt is debt that you don't get anything from. So bad debt is just spending money on.
Would bad debt be sort of like credit cards, money that you've got to pay the interest on?
Yeah, definitely. And if you got something for hire purchase and then you had to pay interest on it, and That's bad debt.
But you still have to pay interest on mortgages.
Yeah.
What's the difference to that being good debt? Is it because you don't have to pay the interest?
Well, one, you try and work out so that I personally don't have to pay the interest, that's covered in the rent. And secondly, good debt in property is that the value of the property will go up. So when you sell the property or in the future, you can refinance and it actually puts money in your pocket rather than takes money out of your pocket.
Okay.
Shall we stop there?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Julie. That was very, very good. And remember that assets feed you and liabilities eat you.